Indiana starting quarterback Fernando Mendoza faces his most difficult defense and test of the season against Illinois, and he must make a statement.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, offensive statement makers heading into week 4 of the college football season for the 2026 NFL Draft, defensive statement makers, and sleepers to watch. That's the show for today. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. Keith, I spoiled the alert yesterday on yesterday's show that my make a statement player is none other than he's in the prime time slot too. Played 3 cupcake teams, and I understood it from a scheduling standpoint for Indiana. But when Illinois goes into Indiana, there's one man and one man only that I'm going to have my eyes on and watching, and that is Fernando Mendoza, my summertime QB1 and everything. Transferred from Cal, has a prototypical size, arm talent, functional straight line mobility, accuracy, ball placement, what have you. This is the big test. You went from Cal. Granted, he played really good teams at Cal. I mean, some tough teams at Cal too. He played Auburn, which they won last year. SEC defense, things of that nature. Now you're in the Big Ten, and this is your first test because I believe they have Oregon. They go to Oregon in a few weeks, and that might be a night game or evening time game. Kickoff for us on the East Coast. Fernando Mendoza, this is a statement for him simply because at the end of the day, you haven't played any true threats to you. How do you handle one thing we know about Illinois? Their defense is always ready to play. They have Xavier Scott, who's an outside corner who can also play nickel. They can have Gabe Yakus, the edge rusher. They can collapse the pocket. They can get after you. They can play tight coverage and everything. So for me, my top offensive make a statement guy has to be Fernando Mendoza. Because show us why did Curt Cignetti feel like he had to come get you of all the quarterbacks in the portal that were available? Darian Mensah was available at some point. Like if he knew he needed a quarterback, why were you the guy? And then why do scouts like your game? Why do I have you high as I do? It's just an opportunity for him to really showcase his full skill set against real competition. Taylor Green, that was you last week. Taylor Green handled his business. They didn't get the dub, but he did what he had to do. I'm looking at Fernando Mendoza. Go out here, play sound football, protect the football, and play a good game to really solidify yourself while everybody else is kind of twiddling their thumbs, trying to find the strike a match to get on that blazing trail with the NFL draft at the quarterback position. This could be the game where you take lead.
Yeah, so let's kind of throw the curveball too, right? With just the QB1 conversation. And I know he's been ranked as high as QB1 for you, I believe, at some point right during this process. And we've talked about the other quarterbacks who haven't necessarily showed up. So is this a situation where Fernando Mendoza, you're able to start the momentum of you being QB1? Because to be completely honest, you've just been kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? And that's not due to him. It's more Indiana as a football program in the big scheme of things, right? Like,
Right.
Not one of the blue bloods. Now, if it was basketball, we'll be talking about them in a different light, right? So I'm right there with you. And I had him as probably the primary make a statement player of the week. I think we both agree on that one. I'm gonna go with another young man, DP. I'm gonna go with Carson Beck, and they have a bit of a Florida rivalry going on. They're playing University of Florida this week. Obviously, Florida is not that good this year at this very moment, right? They're 1-2. DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions against LSU. So it's a bit of a situation down there in Gainesville, but one, it's still a rivalry, and two, Carson is playing pretty decent football. He had 2 interceptions against USF this past week, DP. But outside of that, his season statistics are he has 812 yards passing and a 79 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, right? Played good football against Notre Dame, even against USF this past week. He had the 2 interceptions. They won 49-12. And he still had 82% completion percentage. He went 23 or 28 with 340 yards passing. He's playing good football. Could this be another name? And we talked about it on yesterday's podcast, is that the top of the quarterback class just might not be the guys who we thought it was going to be, but there are a lot of names. That the fortunate part of it was just a lot of names in this class, and they're starting to kind of separate themselves, right? Or things are starting to happen. So I'm looking at Carson Beck as another make a statement player. Like, keep the momentum going. You're playing University of Florida. I think it's a primetime game. I think it's an afternoon game, I believe.
3:30.
Yeah, a 3:30. So it's an afternoon game. Everybody will be tapped in. Everybody,
Oh, wait, sorry. No, I'm sorry. 7:30. It's a 7:30 kickoff.
It was a night game. It's a night game. Yeah, so
at home.
At home in Miami, Hard Rock, right? So go ahead and play good football. Everybody be tuned in, everybody be tapped in. I think it's one of the biggest games. It's not a ranked versus ranked matchup, but I think it's still one of the biggest games of the weekend. I think maybe the only ranked versus ranked is the Indiana, Syracuse, maybe
Oklahoma, Auburn,
Michigan, Oklahoma, Auburn. That's what I want to say. Yeah. I'm sorry. So you have that matchup, DP. So I'm looking at Carson Beck as another make a statement player.
No, 100%. I think, and it's kind of it's different with him because last year, people last year, Cam Ward was out there balling for Miami, but people were still kind of like those reservations. Like, I don't know if I don't want to put him at my QB1. You know what I mean? That's why, when people have the discussion about this quarterback class, I'm like, guys, how quickly we forgot Cam Ward was actually producing. Y'all still didn't want him to be QB1. You know what I mean? Like,
all the way through the process. Honestly, he's probably one of the least talked about QB1s, right? Probably of
all time, bro. Like in history, honestly.
Yep.
And it's his game is electrifying. Personality wise, he's just, I'm all about football. He doesn't he gives you funny sound bites from time to time, but it's not a polarizing, just personality. And it's like, that's cool, but if you ain't winning football games, I don't care how polarizing you are. I need to win games. I need that as my quarterback. So Carson Beck isn't flashy like Cam Ward is, and personality wise, he's probably very similar. Where it's just like, soft spoken to an extent. I don't say much. I go out here, put my head down, grind, and do my job. And at the end of the day, that works when you get into the NFL because the veterans love a guy like that. They don't need a guy that's going to, do too much. So, all right, cool. Carson Beck has been playing well, but he's also been not talked about because of the fact that he's not super flashy. And this is talking about a guy that went back to school and said, I'm going to remind everyone how good I was. 2023, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. 2024 wasn't all on him. The receivers were dropping passes. Guys got kicked off the team. A lot of things went wrong at Georgia on that offense last year. So now in Miami, him and that freshman, Malachi Toney, those two have a connection that's going to be very difficult for Florida to cover. Keith, I go to that Oklahoma game. Oklahoma's at home. They get another. This is a 3:30 kickoff, so it's not nighttime. So, but you're still in the prime time slot the afternoon. Our boy John Mateer, you know what I mean? I listen. Same way we talk about Fernando Mendoza, right? John Mateer has that big win already on his schedule, on his record against Michigan. What happens if he balls out against Auburn? That defense, the former Oklahoma quarterback and Jackson Arnold across the field, and John Mateer plays at a high level. His stock is going to consistently be on the rise. Because remember in the summer, I said, coming out of Washington State, I said he is what I think people wanted Dart to be. His arm to me is better. He's a much better athlete, even though Dart is still a good athlete. But like same type of thing, a gamer, tough, gritty, all the different buzzwords and cliches. Make an offensive make a statement guy for me is John Mateer because you have a tough schedule in the SEC for Oklahoma. But if you rise to the occasion every single time and play great football, good to great football, it's going to be hard to deny him a top 2, top 3 QB slot in the rankings for the 2026 NFL draft. He does have a year left of eligibility. He might bypass that and say, I'm going to the NFL. I've proven myself enough. I was at Washington State for a year. I jumped to Oklahoma. I followed the Cam Ward model and left Wazoo, went to a bigger school, and then I carried them to a CFP, whatever. John Mateer, let's see what you got against Auburn.
Without a doubt, DP. Let's do this, man. Let's switch sides of the football. Show the defensive prospects some love. We picked offensive statement makers. We're going to pick defensive statement makers for this upcoming week of college football. Let's talk about those guys coming up next.
The weekend is almost here. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Georgia Tech, quarterback Haynes delivered in a big way. In the fourth quarter, when Clemson made their comeback and Clemson was trying to win this game, his legs proved pivotal. He continued to carry the ball for over 100 yards and churn out big yards, get the team into field goal range so they can secure a win. When the pressure was on, he came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this wasn't a fluke performance. Haynes is on the streak. And just like Haynes delivered for Georgia Tech, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you can save $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. Again, new customers can bet just $5, just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. I mean, using it to bet on things like player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping into the action live as it unfolds. My question to you now is, are you ready to play? If so, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. Again, my question to you is simple. So are you ready to play? And if you are, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Making a statement on defense for the 2026 NFL draft. Keith, who's one of your make a statement guys as we head into week 4 of college football?
Man, this is tough because there was multiple different ways I wanted to go with this, but I'm going to stick with the Auburn-Oklahoma matchup. I'm going to go with one of the best defensive prospects in college football. I'm going to go with Keldrick Faulk. Want to see you, right? We just talked about everything that John Mateer can do as a quarterback. I want to see Keldrick Faulk get after him, right? And I dove deep into the film, DP, with Keldrick Faulk, and Keldrick is going to be an interesting evaluation because I think he probably sits at right around that 260, 270 mark, and all of the different things that Auburn does with him, it's similar. I'm not comparing him because I think he's bigger. Trayvon Walker, right? And remember, people couldn't decide if Trayvon was a 4-eye, 3-tech, or an outside edge rusher. I think that's going to be more of the conversation. I think Trayvon was bigger, more a dense body, but I think the conversation is going to be for Keldrick Faulk. Okay, if we put this guy on the outside, how many sacks are we looking at per game? Per season. I'm sorry, for Keldrick Faulk. So I want to pay attention to him. How he's going to get after it, what he's going to do, how is his impact going to be felt, what is his impact going to be in a run game because they're going to try to run the football, but then also what is his impact going to be chasing after John Mateer, getting him off his spot? Can he be the leader? When you take a guy that high, right, you're talking about top 10, you want him to be your #1 pass rusher, right? Like he's your pass rusher one. And I want to see if he can do that in this big time matchup. So I'm looking at Keldrick Faulk.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a matchup to watch because, and like I think you put it perfectly. It's going to be a very interesting evaluation for him because we talked about him in the summer. I came in lower on him because he's kind of a tweener. So it's kind of reminds me of Michael. You brought up Trayvon Walker. Me was like Michael.
That's probably a better one because and I don't even know if he's as dense as Michael.
No, yeah, I think he's still still got room to grow.
To fill out. Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think it's the same positives though. It's like really good run defender, so it sets the floor there at setting the edge or playing on the interior as a run defender. But then you want to see more as a pass rusher, and it's like, well, where do you rush the pass rush? Where do you rush the passer from best? And for me, I look at him, I'm like, I think he's better from an interior rush standpoint where he can collapse. He's listed at what 6, I think 6'6", 6'7", 6'6", I
like
think
270. But I don't know if
270.
I don't know. Does he look 270 to you? I don't get 270.
No,
I
he
get
looks lean.
Yeah, I get 255, 260. I don't get that 270. Yeah. Like, I don't get that he's 10 pounds away from being 280. Like,
right.
And because Ruben Bain is listing at 275, 280. They look
total different body types. Total different body types. But I look at Keldrick and I'm like, all right, are you a guy that we do bulk up to 280, like a real 280, or to real 270, and you're more filled in and you play from that kind of 3, 4 to 5 tech role or being the odd front defensive end? Because when I watch him, like just as a pass rusher, I see a guy that wins with a lot of power and uses his frame and his length and everything, but it's like pass rush moves and like the dip and bend and stuff like, which is, it's now expecting the dip and bend like a Cassius Howell, you know what I mean? Like that's two different body types, right? But I want to see how he gets to the quarterback and where he gets to the quarterback from in this defensive front, because they're going to need him against John Mateer. Because if you're not disciplined in your rush, or if you get pressure from the outside but not the inside, or vice versa, you get pressure from the inside, not the outside, John Mateer is one of the better running quarterbacks in college football. He is going to make you pay if you get out of your rush lanes and you give him an exit from the pocket. So Keldrick Faulk is going to be big to kind of just slow that down. Also make him one-dimensional. Stop the run. Stop the run from the running backs. Don't let them, because I think their top running back is their most skilled running back is a true freshman, I think, or a true sophomore, Torrey Blaylock.
Blaylock, Javante Barnes, Jay Knott, so quite a few guys.
Jay Knott's there too. So like they have some running backs where they can run the ball, but if you can make it one-dimensional and keep John Mateer in true drop back sets where you can then get pressure, play really good coverage, things like that, it's going to do a lot for him. Keith, I go to 2 other edge rushers, and they're probably you're talking about a game that could like really decide draft stocks. It's Utah versus Texas Tech. And for me, it's Romello Height and then David Bailey. Like both guys transferred in. David Bailey transferred from Stanford. Romello Height transferred from Georgia Tech. And they're going up against Caleb Lemieux and Spencer Fano from Utah, the top tackle tandem in college football. And probably but in this draft class. These dudes could potentially walk out of there with their stocks and like their names on fire if they go out here and have a dominant performance and get to the quarterback, right? Get to, I think it's Devin Dampier. I'm not even just getting to him, but caging him into the pocket. Like he's like 5'10", like 210, 215. He is dense. And it's like, but he's also a good runner. So it's like, are we aggressive and just throw caution to the wind and try to get to him? Like you're going to have to be a little strategic so you don't give him some exits out of the pocket because you weren't disciplined with your pass rush. Those 2 pass rushers have a chance to really help themselves, because I still don't think people aren't paying attention to Texas Tech, even though they're playing good ball and they're ranked and everything. People aren't paying them attention. This is that moment, because I think this is a game that's going to be nationally televised. Yes, it's on Fox. It's the noon kickoff game after big noon on Fox. Yes, like this is a game I'm gonna be watching, Keith. And these 2 edge rushers, you want to be drafted high, you got to go up against the best of the best. And what's the phrase to be the man? You got to beat the man.
Yep,
shout out Ric Flair, man. Shout out Ric Flair. So like you got to handle business, and against those 2 dudes, yeah, like this is the opportunity for you.
Yeah, no, I like actually DP. I really like that calling, because this is the thing, right? That you have 2 offensive tackles and 2 edge rushers, right? So you're talking about every rep should be an evaluation rep. Just talking about from our perspective, right? Because it's not like you can move sides and then avoid one guy or the other. Nope. And that's for both sides of the football. Utah, you won't be able to avoid these edge rushers. These edge rushers, you won't be able to avoid Utah, right? And I think that will make for this to be a very fun evaluation. And it's going to be a good evaluation tape for 4 different prospects at one time. So we'll be able to see how that goes. But DP, we talked offense, we talked defense. Now let's talk these sleeper prospects to watch. Let's talk about these young men coming up next.
This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feels like home. Whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And those local spots are what make the neighborhoods really feel like home. And so many of them truly run off a Square, guys. So go support them the best that you can. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. I promise you'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayer sleepers to watch in Week 4 of college football for the 2026 NFL Draft. Keith, I go to it's Tulane. Tulane goes on the road to play Ole Miss, and this was not a guy I expected to lead Ole Miss in receiving. I thought it was going to be the OK State receiver, the big body receiver Stribling, who transferred to Ole Miss. It's actually the Penn State transfer to Ole Miss, and that is Harrison Wallace III, 6'1", 200 pounds. He's been leading them in receiving. I think
Harrison Wallace said it was not his fault. That's what he's trying to tell everybody.
Listen, I don't know, because I watched the film. I didn't notice him at all last year, but he's balling for Ole Miss right now. Shout out to Lane Kiffin and really unleashing this young man. But he's been their wide receiver 1, man, and again, wasn't expected. Thought it was going to be the big time guy from OK State with the speed and the strength and the size. It's been Wallace III, man. So you're talking about a sleeper wide receiver, because again, he's playing at a high level, he's producing, and no one is uttering his name in the draft space at all. Like we can't be like, man, guys are producing. Like the ones who are, you're not talking about. Like gotta watch these guys, man.
That goes back to this transfer portal conversation, right? Of all these guys in different places. It like you have to be open. Like, yes, you can have your names jotted down in your notebook of guys you're looking at, but you better keep this thing wide open, right? Like you better have a broad spectrum. Because so many of these guys are in so many different places that you have different combinations and recipes for success that could happen, which is why we keep saying, like, that's what's going to make this process fun.
For sure, man. So Harrison Wallace III, guys, I promise you, when you're watching Tulane take on Ole Miss, look for number 2 when Ole Miss is on the field. And crazy enough, it wasn't just, Austin Simmons. Trinidad Chambers gave him the ball too. So keep your eye on number 2, Harrison Wallace III, when Ole Miss takes the field offensively.
No, I like that, DP. And look at when you're watching this game too, and it's not necessarily, I guess this is like a under the radar guy. But look at Tulane's quarterback, because the thing is actually BYU's transfer. Jake Ratzliff, something like that. So he was a BYU transfer. I think he was starting at BYU, had a couple of situations over there, transferred to Tulane. You want to talk about 2 totally different things. You go from BYU, right? Then you go to New Orleans, right? So totally different situation.
He's a runner too. He runs the ball.
Yeah, he's a runner. That's why I say watch out for him, because that could be interesting, this matchup. And we talked about it. Was that Monday or Tuesday show, and we talked about Austin Simmons with the turnovers and Ole Miss offense sputtering a little bit. So could be an interesting situation overall down there in Oxford. I'm gonna go running back, DP. Michigan is playing Nebraska. Let's check out Justice Haynes. And just going back to what I said early in the season, and I'm gonna just hit home on it again. Young man, talented, former 5-star prospect, was at Alabama, transferred to Michigan. And he's looking like the bell cow guy. So far through the season, DP, 3 games, he has almost 400 yards rushing, right? He's averaging 7.9 yards per rush. And that's a great showing. I think he had a long run. Was it 75 yards against Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Then the other two teams, New Mexico and Central Michigan, New Mexico, he went for 159. So every single game he's went over 100 yards. This Nebraska defense was been playing solid defense, hasn't been playing against great opponents. Let's see what happens. And I think what's going to happen, DP, you're starting to see what Michigan's recipe for success may potentially be, and that's going to be defense. There's going to be Bryce Underwood making a couple plays with his arms, a couple plays with his legs, but handing the ball off to this run game. And so I'm looking at Justice Haynes. Can he keep pace and keep this up and become one of the best running backs in the entire country? I'm excited to see how this unfolds for him, because it could have big implications on the draft, right? Like just like, can he elevate himself? Because one guy that we both like, Washington's Jonah Coleman, right? But is he more athletic than Jonah? Right, we can have that conversation and kind of see where it kind of lands, and he could potentially consistently elevate himself. So I'm looking at Justice Haynes in this matchup as an under the radar prospect.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Jonah Coleman, because that's who I was going to mention too. Because at 5'9", 225, 28 pounds, he's played Colorado State and then UC Davis. He has 7 rushing touchdowns, and through 2 games, 39 carries, 288 yards. Averaging 7.4 yards per carry, 7 rushing touchdowns, 0 fumbles. Like this is he's probably one of those dudes. This is one of the dudes you don't want to try and tackle. Like, just to be completely honest, guys. Like, we saw Ashton Jeanty with the truck stick. I think Monday night.
Yeah,
5'9", 5'8" running backs. I know the phrase is "low man wins," but it's hard to get lower than the lowest man, right? Like, you might just have to just stay at your base and tackle up high, because trying to get lower than these guys, if they see you coming, they're going to lower their shoulder. They're going to run straight through you. And Jeanty did it. Jonah Coleman does it, but I love his footwork, his vision, his patience. The thing you talk about with him that's probably going to be a drawback for some teams is going to be the top end speed, right? Like, he's probably not going to be a 4-4 guy. He's probably going to be in that 4-5 type of range. Right, so they played smaller schools. They got Washington State, which is a battle for the state of Washington. That's a matchup I'm looking forward to, because again, you're finally seeing some real competition. Now, is the best competition? Nah, I wouldn't say that. But the point is, it's not UC Davis and Colorado State. I think this is an opportunity for him to continue to truck along, continue to put up numbers, and continue to look good, man. In this game, like I said, over there on the West Coast, Keith, I'll throw a quarterback out there. And it's a guy I never listen, Keith. If you asked me, was I going to really be interested in watching him, studying him as a draft prospect, I would have said, nah, probably not. Tommy Castellanos for Florida State, 5'11", 201 pounds. Like, he's played well this year. Of course, getting the big upset week 1 after he talked cold hard cash when it came down to that Alabama situation, and he backed it up because they won. And he played well in the win. So for him, and we've seen what Kyler Murray's been able to do. We're seeing, some shorter quarterbacks in the league have some success. Now I want to see him, in this game. You got Kent State. Can you put up somewhat of a dominant performance? You know what I mean? Just be a dominant quarterback in this game. Be a difference maker in this game. So far in the season, he's thrown for 389 yards, averaging almost over 15.5 yards per attempt, 3 passing touchdowns. But we know he butters his bread by running the football. Against Bama, he ran the ball 18 times for 80 yards in the touchdown. He didn't run it much against Texas. I don't know what school that was. It was some Texas school.
Texas Southern,
maybe something like that. They didn't East Texas A&M. I didn't know there was another Texas A&M. That's crazy.
Yep.
East Texas A&M. So yeah, like, he didn't run the ball a lot against them. Just go out here and be a dominant player against Kent State, right? Just keep stacking wins and opportunities, because at the end of the day, if it's one team you're probably going to have to deal with in the ACC, it's probably going to be Georgia Tech at the end of the season. So you need to keep trucking along to where, hey, maybe if you lose that game or whatever the case may be, it's like, listen, they've been dominant all season. They got the win over Alabama. Alabama, they finding themselves. That might be what that statement win that keeps you in the CFP, just like last year, right? We had, what was it? I think SMU win or Clemson won the ACC, and then SMU still got in.
Yeah,
to the
Clemson.
CFP.
Yeah, I want to say Clemson won, and SMU
Yeah.
still got in because they got in over Bama. Remember, that was like a big thing.
Big talking point. So that's an opportunity for Florida State as well.
Yep, I'm gonna wrap up real quick, DP, with another running back. I'm gonna go to Miami. I'm gonna go with Mark Fletcher. The guy that has consistently been getting better week after week. I think he went from 66 yards to 86 yards to I think he had like 110 this past week, somewhere around that ballpark. But like once again, I said they're playing University of Florida. The running back situation is wide open. We have some names. Can you throw your name in a hat to be RB 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? And this is a guy that's extremely talented, has really good size, overall size on him, right? Can tote the rock. Can he be a bell cow back? So I'm looking at Mark Fletcher and see what he do in this matchup against some SEC competition. Will be his best competition since he's played Notre Dame. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast all by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.